Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is Monday night. That means it's time for another edition of SOMSpotlight presented by Sun Parlor Trailers. My name is Craig Smolders. I'm joined for a second week in a row by competition director Rob Young. Hello, Rob. How are you tonight?
Great, Craig.
Awesome. Did you have a good weekend?
I did. Yep. Enjoyed the Super Bowl yesterday. It was pretty cool to see the Detroit quarterback take those guys to the Super Bowl. I'm sure everybody's pretty happy about that.
For sure, for sure. So you're back for a second week in a row. We didn't scare you off. You think you're okay with what we got going on here?
Absolutely.
Awesome. Well, we're going to be joined tonight by UMP modified driver Joel Dick 09D. He's going to join us tonight. But before we do that, I just want to quickly mention in the Southern Ontario Motor Speedway fan zone, we do have the raffle going on again for the Dylan Bonner door. Mini Mod driver Dylan Bonner has donated a door from his 2021 Mini Mod. The door that was on the car when he went flipping on the Friday night of the shootout and all that good stuff. So for sure, get in on that. We'll be posting details later on after the show. So check that out. For now, though, we just want to bring Joel Dick in here and let's start asking him some questions, some real tough questions. Rob, we good for this?
Oh yeah. No, they won't. Nothing tough. There isn't anything he can't answer.
All right, let's get Joel in here. Good evening, Joel. How are you tonight?
Good, thanks. How are you guys?
Really good.
Very, very good. Did you have a good weekend? Did you watch the Super Bowl?
Part of it, and just for everyone watching, my voice is so sorry about that. We watched parts of the bowl and couldn't really get into it too much.
Excellent. All right. Well, we're going to get down to this, Joel. We're going to give you some real tough questions. So I hope you're ready for this. I guess the first thing I would like to know is, growing up, were you a racing fan or were you playing some stick and ball sports? How was your childhood growing up? What were you into? What was your interest?
Well, I'd say growing up, I was more of a cowboy than anything. I had grew up with horses, started going to the racetrack at a young age. So I did play baseball growing up, didn't play hockey. Later on in life, got into speed skating, to short track speed. So there's always that passion about turning left that I really enjoyed. And just competitive side of whether it was horse like that, I just really enjoyed it.
Okay, and what was your, I guess, your first real introduction to racing? Like, when did you kind of say, this is something I kind of want to do?
You know, that was probably just me and my brothers just riding out right beside us. It was gravel, so I get out on my little 50 and start turning laps and just trying to get faster. And we did that, but eventually we started with flat track and also at Point Peely karting with the go-karts. Started in a 6.5 class, raced that for I think 4 years, 3 to 4 years, before I got into my street stock. As far as the flat track stuff goes, that was a little bit more dangerous. So I guess you said with age comes a cage, and got into the stock car then and the street stock. So yeah.
Awesome. Rob, do you have any questions for Joel about any of that?
Yeah, I'm always curious. I mean, I know a little bit about you, Joel, but you make your living as a farrier. Is that right? You shoe horses. Is that your primary income?
That is. Yeah, we do that, and we started a new business last year as well. But shoeing horses is, so it's just primarily was focused on race horses. So it was just always, putting on racehorses, and they can't tell you what they're doing, but just, we started using cameras back in the day and analyzing gaits and doing different things. And again, with that, there was a lot of performance aspects to it that I really enjoyed. So that was one thing I miss, is having Windsor Raceway here, because that was a lot of fun during those times.
Yeah, I can imagine that with Leamington Raceway, that's where you got your start. And of course, there's a lot of similarities with harness racing. They turn left as well, and I'm sure that when it comes to shoes, that's like tires. And I know you're
Yeah.
extremely fussy when it comes to tires. So,
Oh, yeah.
and
Yeah.
you've got a good name in this county, and I've talked to a number of people that that say that you're the best that there is, and I can't even dispute that, because I know when it comes to modified racing, you are as good a driver as I know. So,
Thanks. I appreciate that.
You probably had something else
Yeah.
you wanted to say. I just cut in there on you.
No, I thanks for that. But yeah, it just is a lifetime of just trying to be good and better yourself all the time, no matter what you do. And I always just focus on my own game. I don't care what anybody else is doing. Obviously, you learn from people that are better than you, or even not better, but you just take life lessons along and just try and one up your own game and beat yourself. And that's how I think I've gotten better, whether it be, in my career or even racing dirt modifieds or even go-karts or anything I've raced.
Well, just I saw a quote. It was from Curtis Coulter, and he calls you the Scott Bloomquist of modified racing. I don't know if you'd heard that before, but I read that and I thought, yeah, that hits the nail on the head. You're extremely good. I'll share a story. One day you came to my shop, and the door to my trailer was open and the car was loaded, and the sun was beating in on my Hoosier tire, my right front tire. And the first thing you said to me is, "Oh, that's not good. That's not good. That's got to be covered up." And it was then that I know, man, this guy, he doesn't miss anything. He's right. I could just imagine what it's like when you go through and do your tires. No, we can't have any dirt on these things. This is very serious, just like horses. So that's where I said there's a similarity right there. But anyway, carry on.
Yeah, I'd say, it's all about details. And like I said, whether it be like getting UV light on your tires, going through a car, for me, like I've left the racetrack some nights where, we've had a good run. We've even won, and I just wasn't happy. And I go back and go back on the scales. I start measuring things and start, looking at maybe I missed or why something's wrong. And, you're looking at your front end settings and, just everything from bar lengths and remeasuring and looking at something bound and just all the little details you got to get right, for Saturday. I truly believe you win races in the shop a lot of the time. That's a big part of it.
Yep. I'm gonna turn it over to Craig in a minute, but I'll share one more story. My kids, when they were younger, they played a lot of soccer, and I was from Kingsville, so I was like 10 minutes from where you live. And I remember we used to go and play at the soccer field across from your dad's farm. And the coolest thing about going to watch the kids play soccer was to go by Joel's place, because I could see his hauler and where everything happened right there. So it was pretty cool. Awesome. The drive there was better than the soccer game, but that's debatable. Anyway, Craig, I'm sure you want to get a word in edgewise here.
Yeah, if you guys don't mind. You guys can carry on. I can listen to you all day, but if you don't mind, I wouldn't mind asking a couple questions anyway. So Joel, I guess I'm just kind of wondering when did you first really start racing? I guess did like what year, what class did you start in, that sort of thing?
I can't remember the year. I bought a car from a guy in Leamington. I bought a street stock, and I got in. We probably raced maybe 5 or 6 races that year, and we had a lot of fun. And that next, I called my buddy Chris Vanderweel Corn, and we went out there and took one of his old modifieds, and we turned it into a street stock then. And I raced that car for another season. And that's when I decided that I'm going to take a year off and save up some money and go get a modified. And that's what we did.
Excellent. So then I guess 2010 rolls around, and I know we have a picture up here, but I guess, was that your first win altogether, or was that your first modified win?
Yeah, that was my first win. I remember my first win. It was really special. It's just Dale was second to me that night, and he was really, really on his game there, and to take him down, and he gave me the thumbs up out the window, and it was pretty cool to win. But you never forget that first one. It meant a lot, and still does, because you work so hard to get that and to get there. And there are a lot of doubters too that if you get a top 5 your first year, you're doing good. And my goal was to win that year. It wasn't to just get a top 5. It was, I think we can do this. And we bought I got a decent car, and we got it done. I think we won 2 races, I believe, our first season, and we were leading 2 more. We had an ignition failure, and and my buddy Corn spun out in front of me. Took us out one night.
Rob, do you have any questions about that?
Yeah. The what chassis are you running right now, Joel?
Currently, we run Outlaws. So those are built by Two Brothers Motorsports. The chassis themselves, we have a jig that is in North Carolina at David Rudiman's shop. So he does all the fabrication and all the welding. Then the cars come back to Two Brothers and they're assembled there. Bodies are put on there. And then Junior, obviously, at Outlaw there, he's in charge of any changes or redesigns or anything like that. And Tom Nolan is is part of it. And I've been with them pretty much since we started. And they've done a job, just working with me and everything else. Justin Mills is now in my old car and done really good with it. And they're good guys to deal with, and had a lot of success, and don't plan on going anywhere anytime soon from them.
Awesome.
Well, if it's you're definitely successful, that's for sure. And now would you compare Ashwegan and our new SOMS track to be very similar, like as far as the banking and maybe your gear selection and whatnot? Do you see a lot of similarities there?
It is. To a point, but our corners, like our wall references on our corners, are different because ours is a little bit more squared off. So you have to use, different marks to get into the corner. As say, like going to one at Ashwegan is a lot different than going into one at our track configuration. There's quite a few differences there for that, but all in all, there are quite a few similarities. Just the width of the track, but again, with our corners the way they are, a little bit different. But getting out, it's kind of the same. It's getting out. If you want a diamond earlier, just if you can rip a cushion, if there is one, then you can do that as well. So you got options, once you get your car turned, and you can play with that a little bit depending on your handling your car too throughout the night and how it's going. So, but very happy with it so far.
Yeah, I noticed that. You're a lot of fun to watch. You're an exciting driver. You got to know that if you're in 5th or 6th, that you're always going to you're going to get to the front. It's just a matter of time. I'm sure Craig's probably going to touch on this, but the running with Kenny Schrader must have been awesome. When you ran with him at Ashwegan, I think, did he beat you there, or did you beat him?
Both, actually. Yeah, I beat him and he beat me. So we were leading on him the last time, and he got me. We had a shock issue a little bit and got me center, and then he caught up, and we still had a good battle though. And it was just awesome knowing that you're just going door to door with him, and that was really cool.
I could just imagine. And then I think you beat him when you came back to SOMS, and I know that just the look on his face, he was really excited just to race with you. So it's pretty neat. Mm-hmm. Knowing that the guy is, he's raced all his life, and at the very top level of stock car racing, mm-hmm. just to go shoulder to shoulder with that man must have been awesome.
Oh, for sure. And his guys, when they came back the next year too, were telling me they still watch that one race over and over again in the trailer. Just they have a ton of fun just remembering that. And he actually helped me out. Unfortunately, I couldn't get, but I got 2 offers for Eldora for the Truck Series race. And now the way it works, it's a full pay deal. And So he had helped me out with that. We still stay in touch, and he'll still text me every now and then and just see how things are going up here. And but he helped with that.
That
We
is
just
really,
couldn't.
yeah, that's really neat. All right, I'll turn it back over to Craig.
Well, we got a picture. We got a picture of your 2013 car up there, I guess. But I'm just wondering, is there anything significant about the 09 number or paint scheme? We saw the one from 2010 earlier, but is there any significance with the 09? I guess we'll start with that first.
Well, I never knew if it was 09 or 09 because we kind of call it both. So, which is kind of ridiculous. But the one time I was racing and I had 9 on there, and the announcer was like, "Oh, the 9." So I was joking once. I said it should be 09, and then we had to throw the D in there. So that's how that kind of came about.
And what about your paint schemes every year? Is there is there any thought process behind it, or just kind of what looks good?
Yeah, like actually the picture we got there, that's probably my least. I like the doors on it, but I just didn't like how the rest of it blended in. Like Dean's always designed, I'd say, the best artwork for me from anybody, and done a lot with that. We're gonna change it up this year too. You'll see something a little bit different. We're gonna not drastically, but just a little bit. So it'll have a little bit different look. But I like playing with that a little bit. Just keep it a little bit fresh. But you got to still remember to keep your sponsors in there. So you can't do a lot, and that's the biggest thing is you want to represent them on the car, and it's not just what you want. It's their brand has to be showcased on there.
Yeah, for sure. So Rob touched on this just a little bit, but 2017, I know we got a couple pictures here, but 2017, I guess the season opens, or the beginning of the season anyway. You're racing against Ken Schrader. Talk about that a little bit more, I guess, if you can. You show up to the racetrack, and I know you touched on it a little bit, but you're going out there with Ken Schrader, which is pretty crazy in itself, and then you're going out there and battling with him and stuff like that. Just if you can, just touch on that just a little bit more, hanging out with pits with Ken Schrader and stuff like that.
Yeah, you know what? I think racing with him was great. I mean, he's just a good, hard, clean racer, and I mean that was awesome. But I think hanging out with him before, and then was really unique. And then he had stopped by my place where I was in Woodsley, and just hearing stories that they have to tell is something really unique to get it behind the scenes and NASCAR and his experiences and just what he's doing in dirt and everything else. And I think it's pretty cool that he gives back, like kind of did the 2-seater deal in the fun days, and he does all that stuff. So that was really unique. But racing with a guy like that, it's an honor, really, to be on the same track as him. So and then to beat him is a little bit better. He came in a toter after that day, and he said, "You better have a cold one in here for me." He said, "You said you were coming tonight." And I said, "Well, we changed our minds. So you beat us, got to get you back." But yeah, just really, he's a classy guy. Like on and off the track, he's the same, and he's just a real. I respect him that he's still doing it, and he still has a passion for this stuff. I'm sure he doesn't need to do it, but it's great that he gives back, and kind of because that's what it is. And let fans come see him, and it draws more people out for us, and it's just the benefits are great all the way around. Yeah, for sure. Rob, do you have any questions on that so far?
Well, just about Ken Schrader, both him and Kenny Wallace have they've really brought the light to the UMP modified division. They run all over the place, and they create a lot of excitement. Now, and I'll tell you, just watching you guys out there last year, you guys would run lap after lap after lap, very few cautions, and you're running sideways most of the time because you're running that little 8-inch tire. And I don't know how in the world, with all the speed and the power that you had before, when you put that new Clements engine in there, I don't know if you're going to be able to. You're going to burn them tires right off that thing.
Well, it's a Mullins engine, but wait till you see me in the late model.
Is that you'd like to get in a late model? You say?
I said, just wait till you see me in one. Yeah, I'm looking forward to trying a big tire someday.
you're giving us a little information here. Is there something in the plans? Brand new
No,
Longhorn
no,
by any chance?
you just never know. You never know.
Well, you can't leave us hanging like that on SOMSpotlight. Come on.
Yeah, we got it. It's still wintertime, but there's nothing set in stone right now. So I love modified racing. I do. I'm always gonna be a modified guy, like, at heart, really. That's just what I started with, but it's also I think it's an economical form of a car that you can go race and travel with. To do it on a late model scale is I think traveling and getting the right people involved to, dedicated tire guy, shock guy, all that. There's a lot more to it. You could be, a good driver, but that don't mean, if you don't got a lot of that stuff backing you up, it's a lot more difficult, definitely, in that world. But our world's getting tough enough with the modifieds even, and our shock technology is changing all the time, and it's gotten a lot better. But with that, there's a lot more options too. So, what you want to run, you got to know how to get balance out of the car, and that's just a personal thing and feel, and how you're going to tune to that. So, but yeah, the 8-inch tire, it's tough, but I think a lot of that was from my like flat track and go-kart, just go-karting taught me a lot in 6.5s and snide because you didn't have power. Just being smooth so you're in a Rotax cart or a shifter cart, you can kind of be a little bit harder, I guess, on equipment in a way, and not as smooth and make up for it at some points. But once you get to the top levels there too, you got to be perfect and hit marks, and you can't miss. Even braking zones are important in that. But it's the same as on dirt. It's the same thing. I know when I screw up, I know I lose ground, and and you just gotta reset your brain, and in that next lap, just really focus on hitting that. And again, I'm more or less, you're out there racing, really thinking about what the car's doing. So when you go back in, write down and what you felt, and that way you can base that on next time.
So does your dad Tom have any input as far as the chassis stuff goes, or he's does he help you at all with that, or you do it all on your own?
Yeah, so he no, all the setup stuff, to be honest, I have great crew guys and all that, and we get it put all over. But a lot of nights, I scale alone in the shop, and it's just me, and and that way I can go through everything, and it's kind of methodical the way it's kind of just me on my own. And we're building Bill Thorpe, Bob Thorpe, Douglas, he's in there. So we're working on the body right now, and you can see in the pictures, and they're awesome guys and great mechanics. But yeah, setup stuff, I just this is something I actually enjoy, but just to do it on my own, and yeah, it's just something that's kind of fun for me. I don't mind doing tires, and we got a tire machine now, and it's just something that I've always been really, really picky about on the track. So yeah.
Well, I know you as soon as you went from a sports stock into the modified division, and you could tell right away, you picked it up, and you were basically designed for that division. You brought the level up higher. You're talking about some of the other guys you're racing with, but when you got in there and you started racing, you made those other guys pick their game up, and you could see that as a fan, just watching you out there. It was pretty cool. As far as Caleb Dick is concerned, now you guys have I'm going to say it's a website called Rustygate Motorsports, and is that something Caleb came up with on his own, and because he takes care of it, doesn't he?
Yeah, so that was our name forever. It was always Rustygate Motorsports, but I didn't do a lot of the social media stuff before, and then I had someone doing it from Ohio. Then when I tried to do it, they took my name. They took some of my stuff down before because my last name Dick. Apparently that offended people, but can't help that. So yeah, but Caleb, he started that stuff this year this year with the Facebook page again, and then let them do the Instagram and YouTube channel. So it's been really cool, and it's been good. And I know my dad really liked the videos, so he went out and got him another new GoPro. So we'll have a couple more out there for this year. So.
Yeah, it looks like you got a really nice shop there. Have everything you need and lots of room. You've got your toter home for traveling. You've got it all there. So, my hat's off. You've gone from, as I said, I was trying to think when Craig was mentioning about what year you started, and it had to be between 2007 and 2010, I think. And I remember you out there in a sports stock, and you came along with same as the rest of us did, and what I was telling my daughter Angela is that, the first thing you got to do is finish, right? You go out there, and it doesn't matter whether it's a heat race or a feature, you got to finish, and then you gotta start learning your car, and you have to know that some of that stuff as a driver, how you feel the front end through your hands and the back end through the seat of your pants, and being comfortable in the car, and just knowing the limitations of it. And you've picked that all up. You're mentioning about that, how how you feel you're driving, and then you're on a track, and that when you get to the pits, there's some things you got to change. Man, that's when you become part of that car like that. It's an amazing feeling that and it's pretty cool to see you do that. So,
yeah, I'd say when you when you start off the season good, or you had a good test deal or something like that, and the car's working good and it's flexing good, and all your changes are working good, I mean, your confidence level just goes so high. So when you come in, it's not second guessing, should I do this or should I do that? It's like, no, this is what we're doing, and that's it, So, and that's a big part of it, is just having confidence in your equipment, and I got confidence in that, and I got confidence in my crew, and you have to. And if you don't have that, you won't have the results on the track. So that way, when you go there, you're ready to go. Like I said, winning those races from the shop is a big part of it. And then when you get there and the guys that got their hands on it, you trust them, and that's big going on track. You don't have any doubts, and then it's just you and the track and the car, and it's just go racing then.
Yeah, I think we're probably going a little long. Craig's got an agenda he's supposed to be following here, so he probably wants to ask you about your sponsors and whatnot. So I better turn it over to him before we end up with a 2-hour show instead of a 1-hour show.
That's okay. I guess actually I just have a couple questions before we get into that. 2019 rolls around, COVID hit, track shut down, border shuts down. Did you do any racing, and what did you do to stay sharp during those couple of years that we weren't doing anything? No,
that was super frustrating. But constantly, then it was going through notes. We'd work on the car, still go through the car like you were racing, so you stay sharp, because there's a lot of things you will miss if you don't. Put the car on the scales all the time. Just run some different stuff and try some different things in the shop just to see what might happen. There was no good way really to, other than I said, simulator racing, to do anything. So it was just stay in the shop and, just make sure you're still familiar with everything, because the longer you stay out of there, I know you come back, know how to see it, but you might, those little detailed things, those things. So it's like, I just go in there casually and go through things a little bit and make sure I'm still familiar, and, stay reading up and talking to guys in the States and what they're doing or what's new. And so, it was really frustrating not to be able to travel at all and get down there, but hopefully this change.
For sure. So then 2021 rolls around, tracks are starting to open up. Southern Ontario Motor Speedway has a complete reconfigure. Talk about what you thought about going into 2021. I know we have a video coming up here that you can kind of talk through, but how was 2021 for you as a season?
it was just good to get back out there. And this is our older car. I actually had this chassis, and we got it kind of tweaked before, and then got it wrecked. And I didn't like the car much before that. I didn't like that way that it flexed out at all. And so we had it down to two brothers, and they brought it and threw it on a jig and said it wasn't going to take, wasn't going to be a complete write-off. So we fixed it and we put it back together, and I think it's better than it was from when we had it before. So pretty happy with that car right now. And rolling into this season, had some issues with the front end, but we got that. Took a few starts there, and then some time off this year. I got married, and that was really awesome. So I took a couple weeks off of that, and then right back to her. And this year, I think we'll be focused more than ever.
So looking ahead to 2022, what are the plans for 2022? I know you like to race at Eldora and places like that. Are you going to be racing weekly at Southern Ontario Motor Speedway, or are you taking your program on the road?
No, as of now, again, we got to see what the border is going to do and all that. Hopefully we can get down. Obviously, we'll do the Eldora stuff. Maybe a couple other races. There's two out east more that I'd like to hit. Also, some of the Hell Tour, like plan a week that when the guys get some time. But other than that, yeah, we're definitely going to be home every other weekend, which will be quite a few. So I'm loving that new configure. Lights are awesome. You can, holler off into one and still you can see the track. So that's a bonus. And fans there too. So to interact with a lot more people, it brings another level of excitement, because without them, it wasn't the same. And when we have them there, it really makes things, just makes the energy there a lot better.
So far, Joel, what would you say is probably your greatest accomplishment in racing? What would you say you're real proud of so far?
Whew, that's tough.
Sorry.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, that picture right there, I'm really proud of that. And winning in Eldora was pretty awesome. And that year we were second in points, which I'm kind of glad because, or no, it wasn't that year we won. That was another year, but I didn't have a win there. So, I mean, even if we won the points, it wouldn't have felt right. Probably, we were 12th at Nationals. It rained thanks to Drew Smith. He come woke us up because we thought for sure it was going to be a no-go, and they raced us at 3 a.m. and he knocks on the door. I'm like, oh, thanks, man. So we get out, and I kind of undid everything. It went back to more of a neutral setup. That was the wrong way to go because the track actually cleaned off real quick. I mean, we still were 12th, but I mean, I think we're easily top 5 that night. How we left their stuff alone, and had he woke me up maybe 10 minutes later, we would have been better off. But that one, I think. But it's just we had a big series of string of wins. One year we started out the year, and I don't know how many we won, like 7 or 8 or so. And I don't know what it was, but I mean, that was pretty cool too. But I just kind of take each race as it is and as it comes, and I just think of the next one. So there's not really one moment particularly. I mean, probably my first one, that breakthrough win, and it's probably one of the best. But they're all good. They're all important. But we just look forward to next week.
What would you say is a bucket list race or a bucket list track, something that you would really like to do whenever you get an opportunity to do it?
Well, I'm debating that one in my head right now because my bucket case is to go to Volusia. So the issue with that is I go every year, but I go to watch. So I go as a fan. So that's awesome to be as well. And, to see everybody's car doing, and then there's no pressure. But at the same time, it's like the feature rolls around. I'm like, I want to be out there. I should be out there. But then, you see a car getting junked and coming off the track, and you're like, man, that's a long way home with a junk car in the back of the hauler. So there's pros and cons, but that is on my bucket list. Just don't know what year yet.
Okay. Rob, do you have any questions for Joel before we carry on with other things?
Yeah, I was looking at that Eldora win that you had there, and there's only one problem. How in the world did you keep your right rear quarter panel on there? Most of the people that went into Eldora, they tear the whole spoiler and everything off the thing. Matter of fact, I watched
that night actually. Yeah, that night there was a big cushion that night, so it was just all it had. And the heat race, that was probably one of the funnest times I had in the car was the heat race leading into that night. I think we started 4th or 6th and threw some decent, but as a driver, I'm like, I just got out. I'm like, I'm good if we don't miss the night, because I just had a blast in the car.
Yeah.
The balance was just like perfect, and when you get that, even if I was second in that, just marching forward there could be tough some nights, especially when it's coming down like that. So if you did bobble a little bit, you were not going to make any ground. So just hitting everything perfect and everything great. But that was probably one of the funnest times I had in the car, and then that feature obviously was good, and we were super fast there, and so that was pretty darn awesome.
Yeah, I watched one feature there, and I think that the top 10 cars, the rear quarter panels were tore right off of them, and that's how they did it. They just ran the wall all the way around through 1 and 2 and 3 and 4.
Yeah, you almost want to put a wheel on the outside of your car and just put it on the wall and just rip it around there, but I don't think I looked in the rules though. There's nothing really says I might not be able to do that.
You think about that. All right. So I think Craig probably wants to ask you about your sponsors and whatnot. So I'll turn it back over to him.
Yep. Joel, do you have any sponsors that you would like to thank, people that help you out through the season?
Yeah, absolutely. So Domino's Canada, they're great. CF Industrial, Coley, he comes out of the track quite a bit, and he was always around for the go-karting. And Pioneer Seeds was Pete Neufeld this year, so he'll be coming on board as well. And my dad, Tom Dick, obviously, he's a big help. Just he's in the shop a lot, so he gets through the car, nut and bolt. Sits out there, but he's probably one of our biggest fans, and to have him out there, and he loves it. I'd like to see him in one sometime because he's a fan. So even just for a practice night or something, it'd be might be entertaining for you to watch.
And I know you mentioned it earlier, but let's just remind people, what about your social media? What's going on out there on the social media outlets?
So it's Rustygate Motorsports, and that's on YouTube, Facebook. So just Chad always says, hit the subscribe buttons. Don't forget that. But yeah, he's done a good job this year, and getting better with the videos, and things are looking good. And like I said, he got a new GoPro there from Dad, so looking forward to some good footage this season as well.
Yeah, for sure. I'll just say that too. I like watching all your videos that Caleb puts up out there on social media and YouTube or anything. They're a lot of fun to watch. So keep up the great work, Caleb. We really appreciate what you're doing and keeping all the fans informed. So that's a lot of fun to watch. So thank you for doing that. Well, Joel, we really appreciate you joining us. We're a little bit short on time now. We went a little bit long, and we apologize for that. But it's been a good conversation. We really appreciate you joining us. We wish you the best of luck in the 2022 season, which is coming up here shortly. So we're looking forward to seeing you out there, and enjoy the time off because she's going to be getting busy here in the next couple of months.
Absolutely. No, thank you guys for doing this stuff. And, we're doing it, and all the fans who come out, and all the track staff and everybody who makes it happen. So, just make good experiences for the fans, and that's what it's about, and some great racing. And I'm looking forward to this year there, and it's going to be here quicker than we know.
Exactly. Yeah, for sure. Well, thanks a lot, Joel Dick, for joining us, driver of the 09D UMP Modified at Southern Ontario Motor Speedway. Thanks a lot for joining us, and we'll talk to you another time, Joel. Thank you. Well, Rob, that was a nice conversation. That was quite interesting.
Yeah, as I always say, it's fun to find out what we see the drivers out there, but what do they do from week to week? And in Joel's case, he's a farrier, which is he shoes horses, but I'm sure there's more to it than that. Like I mean, there's some medical things that are probably going on that he's like there's actually a technical name for it. I'm not sure what it is, but basically that's what he does week to week, and we just see him as a racer. But it's nice to find out all this other stuff and find out where where he wants to go. The Volusia thing, man, he says he's been down there as a fan, but if there's any recommendation I could make is don't waste any more time. If you want to go, because when you get to be a guy like me who's 62 years old and you think, man, I should have done that. So to all the young guys out there, go do it if you can, and have a lot of fun, and you will. So but it's just neat to talk to these guys.
Yeah, for sure. Well, Rob, we thank you very much for joining us once again. We hope we didn't scare you off, because we really like having you on. We hope you're going to come back and join us next week. Are you?
Yep, I'll be back.
Awesome. Well, this has been SOMSpotlight presented by Sun Parlor Trailers. Don't forget that we are on YouTube at SOMSpotlight. Don't forget to check us out in the Southern Ontario Motor Speedway Fan Zone group. We have lots of giveaways and contests and everything going on there. We are going to be mentioning the Dylan Bonner door again, so make sure you're checking out for that. Also, we will be posting a trivia question in the fan zone after we go off the air. We'll be posting a question in there based on something that you would have heard tonight from Joel. So make sure you're checking out that. We got a decal for somebody to win. Whoever gets the right guess, and there'll be a random draw after that. So thank you very much, everybody, for joining us. It's been a great conversation. Next week, we have Austin Pickering, driver of the 91 Mini Mod, joining us. That'll be next Monday at 7 o'clock. So make sure you're checking that out. Thank you again, Rob, for joining us. Thank you very much, fans, for checking us out. Go enjoy some Valentine's Day with your lovers out there. We will talk to you guys next week. Thank you very much.